Brian, would you lead us in a pledge, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Mary, a roll call.
Keith Kittredge.
Here.
Ronald Raleigh.
Here.
Roland Kirall.
Here.
Mitch Danoff.
Here.
Brett DeRoche.
Here.
Scott Terrio.
Here.
Brian Martz.
Here.
Nittany Legron.
Here.
Monty Vegas.
Here.
Mr. President, have fun.
Okay, thank you. Okay, gentlemen, you've been presented the minutes of last month's regular meeting. Look for a motion to accept. Moved by Mr. Rowland, second by Brett. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Okay, on the President's report, just a reminder, the ALBL meetings are the beginning of May in Baton Rouge. Please get with Mary or Amy. We need to get finals done now. And you've been presented in your package a Tier 2 forms due by the state. Just look at them, sign them, and give them back to Mary. And that's all I have to report on the President's report. Move over to Executive Committee, Mr. Ronald.
Okay, the Executive Committee met on Tuesday, April the 2nd at 8 p.m. Present, Ronald Calais, Monty Veg, Keith Guidry, absent Scott Terrio, also there, Mick Mathern. The meeting was called to order at 8:01 for the discussion. The committee reviewed the amendment number 1 to the contract with All South Consultant Engineers for the BRIC program added grant application. The amendment would increase the contract by up to $10,000 on a time and material basis. The committee agreed to refer to the full board for approval at the next meeting. Mr. Mathern presented his draft budget for fiscal year 2025 to the committee for review. After reviewing the operating budget and anticipated capital projects for the upcoming year, the committee referred the budget to the Finance Committee before being brought to the board for adoption. Mr. Mathern informed the committee the board would need to approve attending a letter of no objection for Chevron for the East Bayou Water Retention Project, which passes over one of their pipelines. The LONO was already been approved by legal counsel. The committee reviewed the previous agreement with the Greater Lafourche Port Commission for cost sharing the salaries and benefits of the navigation lock operators at the Lake Ontario lock. The final payment from Greater Lafourche Port Commission under the current agreement will be before June the 1st, 2024. The committee reviewed actual costs of operations which exceed the current agreement by $100,000 per year. The general manager advised that we will discuss revised terms for the Greater Lafourche Port Commission Executive Director. The committee approved the performance evaluation of the rest submitted by the general manager and referred finalization to the Personnel Committee. Mr. Veg inquired about whether we had any plans to install mooring piles north of the North Ted Gisclair floodgate in LaRose so that vessels waiting on the gate to open when it's in a closure schedule can have a safe place to tie up. Mr. Thurn said he would look at the cost and discuss the possibility of cost sharing the installation with the Port Commission. There being no further discussion, the meeting was adjourned at 8:50 with a motion by Monty Veg, seconded by Keith Guidry, and unanimously carried.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ron. Anyone here from the audience to address us before we get started? Okay. Moving on to the thing that we need. That's on the agenda. Okay. All right. Moving on, General Manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. First thing I'll bring up is what you just mentioned. We would need a unanimous, Ryan can help me walk through the language, but we would need a unanimous agenda revision to add an item to the agenda, and that would be to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with Restore Retreat to support their efforts. They've been applying for several grant projects that they're actually going to be planting 3 miles of Roseau Cane and Seashore Pass Palum along where Compo and Sons is currently repairing the flood side toe of section C South. So they got a grant to do that, and they've been working on a lot of other stuff. So this is in support of them funding projects that directly benefit us. So the first thing would need to be a motion and a second, and then unanimous agreement to add this item to the agenda
To discuss.
to discuss.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Ronald, second by Mac to add that to the agenda. Oh, roll call. Okay.
Keith Gideon,
Yes.
Ronald Colley,
Yes.
Roland Huron,
Yes.
Mitch Daniels,
Yes.
Brett DeBosch,
Yes.
Scott Terrio,
Yes.
Brian Lawrence,
Yes.
McNamee Rowe,
Yes.
and Rocky Davis.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Okay.
So, Mr. President, now that we've voted on everything I just explained, the agreement that has been sent to us from Restore Retreat would be to support them in the amount of $500 for the year. So I recommend the board move to enter into the agreement with Restore Retreat and authorize the general manager or the board president to sign the agreement.
All right, you've heard the recommendation of our general manager to enter with Restore Retreat, an agreement for $500 a year. Need a motion by Mac, second by Scott. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
So now we need a motion to move back into the regular agenda.
Okay. Moved by Mr. Ronald, second by Monty.
We don't have to do that.
Okay.
No?
If you like.
We do that in executive.
I'll reread
We're
Rob.
starting the ball rolling.
All right. So first up is the letter agreement with the Scully Corporation for covering the Cloverly discharge pipes at their pump station. We'll need to table this again until next month. We still haven't received the comments back on the letter agreement language that are drafted for them to review yet. So until we get that back, we'll keep having to table this. So the next item is, as Mr. Kale mentioned from the executive committee, we discussed a letter of no objection from Chevron for the A East Bayou Water Retention Project. This is the open water acreage south of pump station number 4 that we're looking to levee off with a 3-foot high levee and with a couple of water control structures that allow us to hold water in this large section and reduce the amount of water we have to pump out of the bayou when we have a heavy rain event until the water levels inside and outside the system equalize, and we can open the gate and then let all this water from this area out without having to physically pump it out of the system. So one of the pipelines that we cross is owned by Chevron, specifically the Texaco Downstream Properties Division, which is mentioned on the letter of no objection. So we received this back in March, but their original draft had GIS, our engineer, as the party that would be constructing it. So we had a little bit back and forth, but now we have the language finalized and good to go. So it's a very light agreement. It just asks that we follow all laws and regulations, obtain all necessary permits, follow best practices for working around pipelines, and of course advise the landowner of the property that we're going to be doing this work. So this is the last approval that we'll need before we start acquiring land rights. We have all the permits that we need, final plans are complete, and so once we approve this, we can move into getting land rights and then bidding the project out. So I'd recommend that the board move to approve execution of the letter of no objection and authorize the general manager or the board president to sign the agreement.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of our general manager to enter an agreement with Chevron. Moved by Brett, second by Brian. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, gentlemen. So the next issue is the NFIP lawsuit update. Unfortunately, it's taken 6.5 months to get an update on this, but so if you remember back last summer, the Louisiana Attorney General led a lawsuit against FEMA along with 9 other states, 43 parishes, the towns of Grand Isle and Jean Lafitte, 12 levee districts, including us, and the ALBL, Association of Levee Boards of Louisiana. So we filed the lawsuit on June 1st, start hurricane season, so very symbolic there, but immediately after that, we also filed a preliminary injunction requesting the judge to prevent FEMA from using risk rating 2.0 to assess flood risk that informs flood insurance prices while the lawsuit goes on, so that they wouldn't be able to keep charging more and more and more money when the whole point of this lawsuit is to show that their system for coming up with these costs is faulty to begin with. So back on September 14th, we went to U.S. Eastern District Federal Court with Judge Darrell Papillon, who heard arguments. And so March 28th, 6.5 months after the hearing, we finally got the ruling. So Judge Papillon's opinion denies FEMA's motion to completely dismiss the lawsuit because they thought that none of us had legal standing, where we only had to show that one of our parties had legal standing, and so the judge sided with us on that we do have standing and can continue with the suit. And our motion for the preliminary injunction was dismissed, was denied. So FEMA is being allowed to continue using risk rating 2.0 during the lawsuit. But I mean, it's a little bit of a defeat, I think, but obviously the bigger fight is ahead of us. So we don't have any more updates from the Attorney General's office as to what the next step is or any kind of time frame yet. But as soon as we do get that, which they've been pretty good at keeping us updated, as soon as decisions are made, I'll pass those on to the board and to the public. So the next piece is in your packets, the IDA non-federal public assistance match cooperative endeavor agreement. So after Hurricane Ida, we had disaster recovery where we had to remove debris from the levee and other things that we had to do. We had to get repairs on the building, on pump stations, and a couple of parts of the levee itself. Now those repairs were covered under FEMA's public assistance program, but in some cases, depending on the type of work, there's still a local cost share that's required. And so All South applied for a community development block grant from the State Division of Administration, the Office of Community Development. And that grant would allow the state to cover our cost share for us. So the Hurricane Ida repairs would be at no cost to us at all. The federal government would pay 90% or 100% in some categories of work, 90% in others, and then the state would be covering the other 10% of this. And so this is to cover our Category A debris removal, the main piece of the pictures that you see here. In total, that was a little over $4.9 million, so our share was $469,000. The grant covers that fully, but we do have several other pieces that were not covered by this initial grant application. And so we do have the ability to go back to Division of Administration and request more CDBG dollars for the project worksheets that have already been obligated, meaning they've been reviewed by FEMA, they've been approved, and FEMA's either reimbursed us or is in the process of reimbursing us. But we do have several items that have not fully gone through the process yet that are also still eligible for us to go back and try to get more money. So the agreement that's in your packet today is to accept the $469,103.72 from the state of Louisiana to cover our 10% cost share of the debris removal. So again, we can amend this in the future to cover all the other stuff, but for this one, I just got this very recently, so I got it to legal counsel today. Ryan has not had a chance to review it yet. So I recommend that the board move to approve the cooperative endeavor agreement between the Levee District and Division of Administration's Office of Community Development for the Community Development Block Grant Funds, pending review and approval by legal counsel, and to authorize the general manager or the president to sign the agreement.
Okay, heard the recommendation of our general manager. Moved by Mr. Ronald, second by Scott. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
All right, thank you, gentlemen, and that's my report. So if you have any questions, I'll gladly take those.
Any questions for Nick? Okay, moving on, engineering report, CPRA, Daniel. Not you, okay. Corps of Engineers. Project engineer, Pisiolo Associates, Joe.
Joe Piciolo with Piciolo and Associates. On the Rose Lock project, we are complete with the plans. All the permitting is complete. We're working with the Levee District to secure funding. We are having a meeting with HMGP grant people through the parish next week. On section E North, levee improvements, southeast corner to the northeast corner. Construction Site Specialties is the contractor. He did move back on site and is hauling material, although he does have not the full crew that he has been working with, but he is moving some material now. There is no pay application this month for this project.
Where is this?
This is behind Clovelly.
Clovelly,
On the
yeah.
east side.
From the southeast corner to the northeast corner, basically on the outside.
This is what we did have a little bit of overtopping in the area from Ida, but we've raised that from, it was about 13 to 14 feet before going up to 16 feet. But this effort that Joe's talking about is the first phase, just hauling the material and putting it in place. And then we're coming back with our guys and one of the contractors to rough it into the levee
So
section.
you can see in this picture here, they're
That's
laying
fine.
the material on the protected side berm, and they're throwing it up onto the crown and shaping the levee. So we're doing, construction site is hauling it from the borrow pit, putting on the protected side berm, and then we've hired, the levee district's hired their own contractors to put it in the shape of the levee. Okay, on section A East, the north sector gates at the Lee, Ontario Lock, so sea level constructions. The contractors, the gates were completed last week. We moved them into place, and on Friday they were put in place. So right now they're in place and they're hooking up the cables, putting on the grating and doing the handrails, all that stuff this week. They should be out of there Wednesday or Thursday. If the weather gets bad Wednesday, it'll be Thursday. They'll be out. They'll be done.
So the lock will be operable?
It will be, should be operable by the end of the week. Yeah.
Any problems with the closures we had? Nobody had no problem.
No, we've put it out on public notice and through the Coast Guard, and Mary's been putting it on the social media sites, and
And then the Port Commission relays that also to all their tenants.
So they close from 7 o'clock in the morning till 5 in the afternoon, and then they move out and the traffic goes through. So we do have pay application number 2 in the amount of $313,205.50, and we recommend that you pay that pay application.
All right, you've heard the recommendation of engineer to pay sea level construction pay application number 2 in amount of $313,205.50. Moved by Mitch, second by Brett. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Mr. Chu, on the, what about the damage too from the?
So that's a little bit further down.
It's coming down, okay, never mind.
It's coming.
Hold off on that.
On section A East, levee improvements, we had the plans and specs completed. We submitted to CPRA. They asked us to do some more geotechnical analysis. This is basically from the lock on the east side going up to pump station number 4 at Yankee Canal. So we had Eustace Engineering do some more borings, do some more testing, and they completed all the field work. They're about finished with all the lab work, and they are starting to do the analysis, the engineering analysis on the levee itself. Once we get that, we'll compare it to what we've come up with, and we'll submit it all to CPRA for approval. So we also have our engineering contract on the agenda for approval, right? So we're asking that you approve our engineering contract. Has it been done now?
Can we? Yeah. Okay. All right, you've heard the recommendation to approve our engineering contract. That's with
Piciolo and Associates for section A East, right?
Okay. Moved by Monty, second by Matt. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
And the replacement of the discharge pipe at pump station number 8. Sea level is also the contractor. So they've removed the section of the pipe that's damaged and out into the water. They've installed one section of brand new pipe, and then they're working on installing the second section today. So if everything goes right again with the weather on Wednesday, they should be finished by the end of the week on this project also. So we do have pay application number 2 from Sea Level in the amount of $66,838.50, and we do recommend you approve that.
Okay, you heard the recommendation of engineer to pay Sea Level, pay application number 2 in the amount of $66,838.50. Moved by Scott, second by Mr. Rowland. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
So on the repairs to the North Gate structure, that's the last project we have. The estimates that we got for it exceeded the requirement for public bid law, so we have to go out on public bids on this. We can't just accept quotes. So we're preparing plans and specs now to do the repairs. We're about 90% done with our plans and specs, so sometime next week we should be able to start advertising for bids and publicly bid it for 30 days. And then we'll bring the bids to you for a recommendation for repairs. That's right. We also have an engineering agreement for this project on the agenda for approval.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation that we enter into agreement with engineering. Moved by Mac, second by Scott. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
And Mr. President, we'd also need a motion from the board to advertise for bids.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation from the general manager to advertise for bid for this project. Moved by Mr. Rowland, second by Brett. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. GIS, John?
Good afternoon, John Plazos with GIS Engineering. First project we have for y'all is the AES retention project. Basically, if y'all remember what Nick said 20 minutes ago, that's the status of it. Got everything in place except the servitude, so once Ryan can shake that free, we'll be able to advertise for that project. The D North ramp project, we are still, correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, but not quite gotten the final word from the Allans about what material we'll be using, but we pretty much know what it is. We're just crossing some T's and dotting some I's. So on your agenda is to award the stockpile project to Outer Limit at the cost of $234,800. That will take material out, triangular pit to the southeast of the project, put it on the berm so we can use to put it in place later on this year.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of engineer to pay Outer Limits, the amount of $234,800.
And it's not to pay
Not to
yet,
pay,
it's just to award the contract.
Moved by Brian, second by Brett. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, the reconnection of Breton Canal to Bayou Lafourche, we are advertising for that project. Bids are due, I believe, week after next. No, next week.
The 18th.
Week after.
Next Thursday.
Next Thursday, 18th.
What's gonna happen?
We get big
Accepting
bids.
the bids.
So we'll bring it to y'all next month's meeting to award the contract. Or reject the contract, as the case may be.
We had pretty good attendance at the pre-bid meeting last week. So.
Correct. 6, I think, contractors. And then the D-South flood wall phase 3, which is to just tie in the ends. We've given a set of plans and specs to Nick. Once he finishes going through that, we can go ahead and ask y'all for permission to advertise.
That's all I was for.
Okay. Any questions?
I've got a question, John, on that, the connecting the breaking out of Bayou Lafourche, the width. After we get started, what kind of project, how long are we looking at?
We think it's It's only like a 4-month contract time. Part of that, though, that I can't tell you is got to actually order the weirs and get them in, the weir gates and get them in. You know, that might be 6 weeks, that might be 6 months.
Okay.
So that will be the sticking point.
Any other questions for John?
No.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
All right, Angela Design, Neil.
All right, on the C North project, Compo & Sons is the contractor on that project. They're continuing to work to shape that levee. You can see along Highway 24 to an elevation of 13.5. Today we're recommending their invoice number 1244 in the amount of $72,675.
All right, you've heard the recommendation of our engineer to pay Compo & Sons, invoice 1244, the amount of $72,675. Moved by Mitch, second by Mac. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Okay, the next project is the C South flood side repairs. Right now the contractor is working north of Basin, but this project actually goes all the way up to the south side of Apache Farm. They work from that side, working their way south, so they're well south of the gun range now and working their way towards the Basin pump station. We're recommending approval of their invoice number 1245 in the amount of $48,440.
And what we're raising right there too?
All we're doing is flood side improvements where the debris removal took place. You'll see periodically there's a temporary ramp that the contractor built, and then he's going to remove that and use that material also.
Okay. All right, you've heard the recommendation of engineer to pay Compo & Sons, invoice 1245 in the amount of $48,440. Moved by Brett, second by Brian. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed.
Okay, next project is the La Rose flood wall vessel impact barrier. Lowland Construction Company is the contractor on this project. They started work on the east side of the project towards the old Mercer boat launch, working their way to the west. Right now they're just past the old David Industries shipyard, and they're going to go all the way up to the overpass. We're recommending approval of their payment number 4 in the amount of $141,521.50.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of engineer to pay Lowland, pay application number 4 in the amount of $141,521.50. Moved by Monty, second by Mac. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion passed. Do it to the deal, die.
One minute.
One bid, no.
1 minute.
And also on this project, once they complete this work, there are a couple of mooring clusters that they will be installing in the La Rose floodgate area. There was an alternate bid for that. That'll give vessels a place to tie up while waiting for the floodgate. And they'll also be doing a repair on the south side of the floodgate to one of the clusters at the beginning of the timber fendering system that's currently damaged. So that was approved at a previous board meeting, but I think that's the last thing they'll do.
So that answers that question from the executive committee, that there are going to be a couple more pilings, pile clusters that'll be installed for vessels to moor while waiting on the gate to
Instead
open.
of pushing up into front.
Right, that'll be on the north side of the floodgate and on the west side of the by Lafourche, opposite of the church.
But as Neil mentioned, we also we noticed some damage to one of our pile clusters on the protected side that we added as a change order to this contract while they're on site. That's going to be the cheapest way we'll have to fix it.
Okay, and the last project is the Section F berm improvements. This is on the east side in La Rose, from Delta Farm all the way down to the beginning of Cloverly Farm. That contract, Sea Level Construction, is continuing to make good progress, working on that protected side berm improvement. And today we're recommending approval of their pay application number 6 in the amount of $203,062.50.
That looks pretty significant right there, what they're doing.
It's pretty incredible. If you have a chance to go out, let me know. I can take you. But
the protected side is
the difference between the top of the protected side berm there, without the improvements and with the improvements, it's incredibly significant. So it's going to be increasing the stability. I mean,
Yeah, it's the stability and the seepage issues that we were seeing. Yeah.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of our engineer to pay lowland. Wait, no, sea level. What was the one above? Sea level, pay application number 6, the amount of $203,062.50. Motion by Mac, second by Scott. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
And I should have mentioned, but this project, along with the previous one, both are being funded, I think, entirely by CPRA, right? Or
No, the vessel impact fair is us. But Section F is completely CPRA.
okay, yeah, this project is CPRA funded.
What is the percentage completion on that?
They're about 70% complete, so they should have another 2 months.
Before the storm season?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I have, Mr. President.
Any questions?
Yeah, vessel.
Thank you, Neil.
Thank you.
Section F.
Delta Coast. Anyone from Delta Coast here?
Nope. Oh.
Not Mitch. Not Mitch.
Oh, I got you confused. All right, Stevie.
Very quickly, Mr. Chairman, board members, got 3 projects to report on. The first is the Golden Meadow Terraces project. We've applied for, the district has applied for a BRIC grant. BRIC is Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities, a federal program which has a significant amount of dollars in it, and that is a program that also will fund projects like marsh creation down in Golden Meadow, which protects obviously the South Lafourche levee system. So we made an application for this at the end of February. Actually, the application was due to GOSEP at the end of February for this particular site, which is about a 48-acre site off of, what is that, Reach A, Nick?
That's, no, that's B South.
B South, I'm sorry. And again, it's just outside of Golden Meadow. I'm sure everybody kind of recognizes the site, but hopefully that grant will be favorably reviewed and approved. It'll take some time. I'm expecting 5 to 6 months for this grant application to be reviewed. It's about a $3.5 million grant app. The construction is probably about 3.2, and then the soft cost E&D and other things are another 300 grand. So the total grant application is about 3.5. But that has been submitted as, I think, when we were hearing the executive committee report, we did this as we requested an amendment under our existing contract, which is to prepare that grant application, which I believe is an agenda item for today. And the executive committee reviewed approved, but we do need board action today. But long story short, the grant app has been applied for, so we'll obviously respond to questions as we get and hopefully get it funded.
So the item, as Stephen mentioned, would be the amendment to their engineering contract, amendment number 1, as Mr. Colley mentioned, from the executive committee recommendation.
Okay. So, motion by Mr. Ronald, second by Mac. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
The second project is the terraces down at Reach K. We've been talking about this for some time, the terrace repair. Again, just to remind the board, the terraces were damaged by Hurricane Barry. We have a FEMA claim to pay for repair to the terraces. These terraces, I mean, this is Pointe-au-Chien coming in on the left side of the image, and that's the cutoff canal, Grand Bayou kind of going up in the middle of the image. So just at the bottom of that V is where these terraces are that we built as mitigation for Reach K. Again, we got FEMA dollars to repair them. You are actually using the Terrebonne Levee District as your contractor to do these repairs because Terrebonne Levee has some marsh buggies and people, so it's a very cost-effective way to do that. We have been waiting for some time for the Terrebonne Levee District to get their machine fixed so they can do this work for you, but the machine is fixed, it's on site, it actually started working like Friday, okay? So this is kind of happening kind of outside of your field of vision because it's down there in Pointe-au-Chien, but it is one of your projects. The Terrebonne Levee District will perform this work. They will literally invoice you at the end of the job for their labor and equipment costs. And when they do that, you will pay them, but then we will also get you reimbursed from FEMA once you expend those dollars. This is going to take probably 4 months for them to do. We had estimated it was going to be about $1 million, maybe a little bit less in cost. And again, they're doing it with their own personnel and equipment, so they're not racing to beat a deadline, we're just gonna get it done. That's gonna be going on now, like I said, from now through the middle of the summer. Hopefully we get it done without having any storms impact it again. If there's no questions on that one, then the last one on the list, of course, continues to be Hurricane Ida response. We previously briefed the board on our interaction with FEMA and the Corps of Engineers about your status in what we call the RIP program, the Rehabilitation Inspection Program, right, Nick? Drawing a blank on that acronym. But we have received a letter from the Corps which states clearly that you are not in the RIP program, which means that you can't get money from the Corps to fix your stuff because you're not in their RIP program, which should trigger FEMA to give you money for some of the repairs that other folks have been reporting to you for the last year about all the stuff that we have been doing to repair from Ida. And now that the Corps says you can't get any money from them, then that should clear the deck for FEMA to hopefully give you money for $3 to $4 million worth of other repairs, not debris, because we've already got you reimbursed for debris, but this is like the repairs to the pump stations and other things that folks have been giving you updates on. So it's a significant amount of money. Again, the Corps finally said, you're out of our program, we're not giving you money, and I'll make this other federal agency make you eligible for that. But we still have some work to do to convince them of that. Okay? So that's I know, Mac, I can see your face, I mean, that's a process.
Bureaucracy.
But we did get the letter, we had to get one bureaucracy to give us a letter, right, Nick? Which was
Took a good 4 months.
a bureaucracy.
A good 4 months to get the Corps to sign a letter that I wrote for them. That we just needed a signature. That's 4 months.
Well, for them to tell us that, by the way, you don't have to give us money. It wasn't right saying I need $18 million. It was a letter that says I ain't gonna give you no money.
Oh.
Only in America. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions for Stevie?
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, legal permits and right of way, anything to report, Nick?
Yep, and then this is mine.
Okay.
It's quiet.
Board attorney, any,
Just one update on the LA contracting. The appeal on that case has been lodged in the First Circuit. Our brief's going to be due in a little bit less than a month, so we'll be putting that together. When we have an update on what's going on with that, I will let the board know.
okay? Any questions? Finance committee, Monty?
Okay, Mr. President, Finance Committee reviewed all invoices and recommended be paid as presented.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of our finance chairman to pay all invoices. We have a motion by Mr. Ronald, second by Brett. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Also, the adoption of the 2025 budget was reviewed, and we recommend the board adopt it.
All right, you've heard the recommendation of our finance chairman to adopt the 2025 proposed budget. Moved by Brian, second by Mr. Rowland. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. President, if I can jump in for a second. One thing I wanted to point out to the public is that, as I mentioned to the Finance Committee just before this meeting, we're expected to have about $64 million worth of capital projects going on at some point in the in fiscal year 2025. And 50 million of that is coming from the state. So our cost share is pretty favorable. It's about a 77-23, so not even a 75-25 or 65-35. I mean, we're doing really well. We got a lot of work going on, and we've been very fortunate with the grant funding we've been getting, especially from the state. So it's an exciting time for sure in our district.
Good, good. Okay, moving on, Personnel Committee.
All right, Mr. President, Personnel Committee, 1 year evaluation of Nick return. Time flies when you have a good time with Nick, right?
It was nice while it lasted.
While it lasted, right? So after performance evaluations from board members and observers from the Personnel Committee, we gave a favorable review and appreciate you stepping in. That's a big shoes to fill, and keep the job. Keep up the good work for us, okay? Appreciate that. So do I need a board approval on that? It was just, I think the Personnel Committee has approval, authorization. Yeah, okay, thank you. So revision to policy and procedures manual is something we approved in February, meeting, Mary is finalizing and putting them in the policy and procedure manual, correct? So if y'all want to review it, it'll probably be ready by next meeting, right? And then also, there's something else we're doing. We're trying to review the personnel, job titles, and pay scales to make sure the job titles are a little more definitive and describe what they're actually doing. So that's also to be done by next meeting, to be finalized. So, Mr. President, that's all I have for this time.
Okay, is there any questions for Monty?
Yeah.
Hey, Monty, if we could back up, actually, the revisions to the policies and procedures manual.
Right.
That can be voted on and approved.
Okay,
at this meeting.
okay. So, they recommended, the Personnel Committee is recommending that the revisions to the policy and procedure manual be adopted also.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of our chairman to accept the revisions and policies and procedures manual. Moved by Mitch, second by Mac. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Okay, that's it.
Okay, any questions for Monty? Okay, any old business? Anybody here with old business? Any new business? All right. No need for executive session? Waiting on a motion. Moved by Monty, second by Mitch, that we adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion
I
passed.
recommend we allocate $10 to 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, yeah.
I wish we'd have seen that before we approved